DFSSports.com. My name is Jon Jansen. Follow me at jjansen34. And joining me today is Adam. Buck N for Life is where you can follow him on Twitter. We're breaking down tonight's NBA slate. And this is all sponsored by the way. See right there, bottom. It's below me. Sponsored by the Sharp app. Go to sharp.link. That's all the ways you can download the Sharp app. And there you'll find the Google Play Store, Apple App Store links to download the Sharp app. So make sure you do that and download Sharp. Maybe get some NBA bets for tonight. But we're not going over bets. We're going over the DFS slate, 5-game slate tonight. And I guess the first thing to start out with, Adam, is, of course, injuries. Lovely.
As always.
So, I mean, John Morant out, Damian Lillard out. We know he's going to be out for a bit. But John Morant's out. So what do we kind of do here? And I imagine, look, yeah, Booker,
Devin
SGA,
Booker's out. SGA just got ruled out.
Anunoby, Josh Giddey.
Yeah, there's a lot. So
what is this doing to the slate with all these injuries?
So for me, and we'll get into the individual games here in a second, but the top three players that I'm pretty much just kind of locking in, and I'm going to start my builds from there, are going to be Trey Mann from Oklahoma City. I believe he is 3,600 at the point guard or shooting guard spot. It's going to be Lou Dort from Oklahoma City because somebody from that team has to shoot. And it's probably going to be those two guys now that SGA and Giddey are out. And then it's going to be Anthony Simons from the Trailblazers because he is still under 5K and Damian Lillard is still out. Like, these are kind of the first three guys that, okay, I'm going to start here and then I'm going to see what I have left and where I'm going after that. Because the injuries just dictate this is where we almost have to go.
Now, are these both cash and GPP plays?
I think that's going to end up being cash. The ownership's kind of still reflecting that SGA is going to play right now. It hasn't quite caught up. But I think once
eventually
SGA...
it's going to catch up.
Once he comes down, that's going to be it. It's going to be a lot of Suns. It's going to be a lot of Trailblazers. And then it's going to be the Lou Dort and the Trey Mann sprinkled in. It'll probably be 3 each of Suns, Blazers with Trey Mann and Dort is your likeliest cash build tonight.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I guess within those games, is there any value plays, like any way to be different? Okay, so if Trey Mann or Dort aren't it for Oklahoma City, here's the guy that you can pivot to. I guess within these injuries and these teams that we can kind of go after, is there any way in GPP that we can be a little bit different with these?
So I think one of the easiest ways to get different, and we kind of talked about this the last Portland slate, it didn't fully work out because the guys we played didn't hit.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's just going to be not playing CJ McCollum again. Because we look at this now, okay, now he's 8,500, so the price keeps going up. And at this website, we stand DeJounte Murray. We love this guy. Not only do we love him,
glad to know that is now a website. It's not just a ghost thing. This is a website-wide.
Everybody.
WinDailySports.com endorses DeJounte Murray.
We probably carry half of his rostership on every slate. I would, if I had to estimate. But when you look at this, not only do we love him for his fantasy production, he's one of the better defenders in the league. He's going to defend CJ McCollum. Now, CJ McCollum's a talented scorer. I'm not saying DeJounte Murray is going to completely shut him down.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is he can mute CJ McCollum to the point where if you play him at 8,500 and he's one of the top 5 guys on the slate, you realistically want at least 50 DK points. I'm not convinced McCollum gets there against DeJounte Murray defense. So not only does that kind of limit him, now it makes Anthony Simons an even better play. Because if McCollum doesn't have it going, somebody from Portland has to be scoring the basketball. And it's most likely going to be Simons. So not only does he have almost a 25% usage without Lillard, just period, he's probably going to have extra offensive responsibility tonight if McCollum is not having the same offensive effect that he normally would have without Lillard.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. You're going to need a ceiling game out of McCollum, and I don't think that's going to happen. So at 8.5K, he is not the guy. And I guess these two certainly, or at least Simons. Is Simons also going to be a cash player? Like, is that where a lot of this is going to be concentrated? Okay, so I guess
100%. Simons right now is the highest rostered projected player on the slate.
Right.
So he's first guy in.
And I guess I can make the distinction in GPP. You don't just have to go, okay, those guys are cash. You don't have to be different with the value plays as well. Where we can be different in GPP is the top and some of these value guys. Is that what where we're trying to separate ourselves?
I mean, you definitely can. I mean, it's kind of funny, right? Because this slate has one player that's over 10K, and it's Giannis. And he's still hovering under 25%.
Wow.
Which is a little surprising, right?
Yeah.
He goes bonkers last night. Everyone wanted to play him last night. And I may kind of wind up with the field in that I may not have as much Giannis as I normally would on a night like this. And it's simply because he played 38 minutes last night. Like, I'm not going to be surprised if it's not even a minutes limit, but if he plays 32, 34 minutes. And at the 12K price tag, you need every minute you can get on the court, even for somebody that has a 1.7 fantasy point per minute so far this season. So if he drops down to like 32, yes, raw points still matter, but at this kind of a salary difference, you can still make that up if you play Murray, if you play Chris Paul with no Devin Booker, if you play DeAndre Ayton instead of Yusuf Nurkic at about 10 to 12% less rostership. Those little differences on a 5-game slate, especially when it's so concentrated, those add up fast, man, like really fast.
Yeah, I like that. So Ayton is one here that we're kind of we're a fan of.
For sure. So, when I look at props, and they do have an effect on what we should expect for DFS, right? Because if a guy's props are kind of out of line, in a good or bad way, it can kind of tell you a story of, okay, this is what Vegas is expecting. His points prop tonight was around 18 points. It's like 17.5, 18.5 at some sports books. He only averages 16. So for them to go, pretty significantly above, it tells you they expect him to have a pretty big game. There's really nobody in the Detroit interior, that can slow him down. So when you take Booker off the floor, the fantasy points per minute jump for Ayton and Chris Paul, but now you have less shots coming from Booker. That's just more opportunity for the pick and roll game with Chris Paul running things. And if you're telling me that I'm a talented big man that can score, and I'm going to get fed by one of the best point guards in the history of basketball for 32 minutes tonight, there's probably a pretty good shot that I'm going to score 20 points by the end of the night.
Yeah. So
and that's just regular points, not to mention everything else that he's doing. Rebounds, blocks. He might throw in an assist or two, maybe a steal or two. At 7,400, 12% less ownership than Nurkic. It's not to say Nurkic is a terrible play, because he's not. I think Nurkic is going to get minutes on the floor. San Antonio tends to play a big guy, whether it's Jakob Poeltl, whether it's Drew Eubanks. He'll be needed on the floor. But that rostership difference is so huge on slates like this that I'm willing to pay a little bit extra and hope Ayton just flat out scores them. And it's very well within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I certainly think it can be. And I would actually like that as well, because if this means, Chris Paul is going to get more of the attention than Devin Booker, I imagine that helps out DeAndre Ayton. Not saying, of course, Devin Booker is really great, but Ayton, I absolutely love in that circumstance, because what's going to happen? They're going to probably do a lot of pick and roll with Chris Paul, and I imagine it's going to work things that way. So, yeah, I like Ayton a lot. And so, this mid-range, I imagine the 7K, 6K range, that becomes kind of interesting in this slate, doesn't it? Like, I'm just asking that because you're right. It's only one guy above 10K. And we could get DeJounte Murray in there and stuff, but I just imagine, again, with the way that we try and be different in GPP, that means the 7 and 6K range is going to be really pivotal here.
Yeah, you definitely can, and that's kind of might be where I end up leaning. And part of that reason is because Dillon Brooks is still only 7K in the Oklahoma City game now. Yeah, Memphis is probably going to be a pretty heavy favorite with no SGA. But if they end up, blowing out Oklahoma City, Dillon Brooks has probably scored 25, 28 real points. The man does not stop shooting, ever. It's just ever. His price didn't move. I mean, his usage rate is over 30% when John Morant's off the floor. And me and Ghost kind of talked about it the other day. It's not going to be a surprise to see him be 8,500 here shortly. So for me, like that's a guy that I'm looking at, pretty heavily. And then I think I'm probably going to slide Dort into a forward spot.
Yep.
Because I can put Simons at shooting guard, and now I can still play Chris Paul with DeJounte Murray.
Nice. Okay.
Going the 4-guard combo is pretty interesting tonight.
So is Chris Paul okay? And we always do this with, I guess, players playing on the same team. But I imagine with what I just said about Ayton, Chris Paul also in play as well.
Yeah. There's a very strong correlation there because of the pick and roll game. On a lot of Ayton's points, you're going to get an assist from Chris Paul.
Nice.
So that's a 3.5 point bucket as opposed to just a 2-point bucket.
Yeah, I like that. I like the pairing of Chris Paul and Ayton again because I think a lot of this game runs through both of them. So that's a pretty good play as well. So other than we talked about Trey Mann and we talked about Dort, is there any game that we're trying to find value from, or is it just going to be so concentrated on Oklahoma City and the Memphis game and also Portland?
As we sit now, like those value plays are just so strong.
Okay.
I don't think we have to go out of our way to find differences in the values to separate ourselves from the field there. I'm totally fine eating that and then turning around and playing the 4-guard combo, or maybe I'll just wind up playing Giannis. There's other ways to get different where I don't think we necessarily need to reinvent the wheel with the value plays tonight. Because it's just a 5-game slate, a team like the Knicks, they have a couple value guys in like Derrick Rose and Emmanuel quickly super cheap on Fanduel. So if you want like one or two of them to be different, that I understand. Derrick Rose still played, almost 35 minutes with Kemba Walker out of the rotation. He is insanely cheap on DraftKings. He's under 5K. If you want him over, heck, I don't even necessarily want to say over Simons or Trey Mann because I want those guys. But like, if you just say, hey, okay, I'm just going to take the risk. I'm going to fade Trey Mann. I'm going to hope, he just doesn't shoot well, something like that. Okay, but for me, mostly it's going to be the value that's right in front of us and then just get different in other spots.
And I like it. And look, we got Chris Paul. We have DeAndre Ayton in there, along with Dylan Brooks, too, at 7K. We still have 6.3K, and that's kind of why I bring up the point of I think the 6-7K range. And if we get the right players in there, that's where I feel like this slate is going to be won.
And that mid-range is just loaded tonight.
Yeah.
You have really strong plays. A lot of nights me and Ghost are very much stars and scrubs, and the scrubs end of it really kind of fit tonight. Even Simons is the most expensive guy, 4,900 on DK. It's just not accurately priced. You could very easily play Giannis. If that's your decision and you just say, hey, Giannis is going to wreck the Toronto interior, which he probably will, I can't argue that. But now you're missing one of these mid-range guys. You're not going to play a Murray. You're not going to play a CP3. You're not going to play a Brooks because you still have to pay for Giannis at some point.
Yeah, and look, on a back-to-back, too, for Giannis, obviously there's going to be it's not going to be reduced enough, but that ceiling, game-breaking slate kind of performance, I don't know if that's –
I would be shocked if he plays 38 minutes again, right?
Right, absolutely.
Even against the Hornets, 38 minutes got you 70 DK points, which you were totally happy with.
But if there's, I guess, if there's a spot that you could say it's not going to happen, this would be the one. You could have a good slate, but not the game-breaking type slate that you would need him in on this one, and that's kind of what we're playing with here.
Realistically, why does Milwaukee care about a December game against the Raptors?
Right.
They don't really need to. It's they're not going to sit Giannis. At least I don't think. I think we would have had news by now. They're not going to say, okay, you're only playing 25 minutes. It's just those couple minutes at 12K just make all the difference.
Yeah, I think so. And look, again, we see the power forward spot, which if there is one, I guess we can go to the model for that to look for a power forward. But look, 6.3K remaining per player for the last two for a power forward and a utility guy. I imagine we're in a pretty good spot there.
I'll throw one name out because I do think you can play up to 3 Suns. I'm totally fine with that. Everyone's playing Phoenix tonight. Jay Crowder's under 9% right now.
Oh, I like that.
There's just not much of a reason for that to be the case. If everyone loves the Suns so much, I'm not saying Jay Crowder's anything special, but again, with Booker's shots out of the perimeter now, it's not that hard to see Jay Crowder taking 2 or 3 more triples tonight. And if he hits 1 or 2 of those, 43 pays off pretty quick for a guy that shoots from 3.
Nice, and we're seeing
especially on a chalk team that nobody's playing this guy.
Yeah, and look, we're seeing 8.3K available, and I think what that's going to do is help us get one of these 7-6K guy again, and then kind of look a little bit and see where we can upgrade a bit. But yeah, no, I like this a lot. I just like the with the way it's setting up that we can attack the 6-7K range a lot and work our way around that, and I think it's going to be worth it. Cam Johnson over Jay Crowder?
Cam Johnson's very, very chalky. So I'm not going to say flat out no, but you know what you're getting into there. Like
so
Johnson,
definitely a cash play then.
Yeah, guys like Johnson, Campaign, Landry Shamet, because he's like 3,100. Those guys are perfectly fine plays, but they're about 4 times the amount of rostership that Jay Crowder's projected for right now.
I like that.
So you just have to know what you're getting into when you make that decision.
Yeah, and look, Jay Crowder's not a scrub or anything. Like Jay Crowder.
Listen, if he hits 27 DK again tonight, because you saw the second half they were without Booker, you're pretty happy with that at 4,300 at possibly sub 10% as a pivot off the rest of the Suns.
Kelvin Johnson over both.
I mean, I don't know if I'll say I don't know if I'll say over both. Right. I don't think I'll go with that.
So here's a good lineup to kind of see what we're going with here: Murray, Simons, Brooks, Crowder, Ayton, Burks, Dort, and Mann.
Yeah, I got no issue with that. The only thing I might want one more Sun there. You only have Ayton. You could possibly work in a second one, but if your decision point tonight is I'm only going to play Ayton, and I'll kind of hope the rest of the chalky Suns just have average games, totally fine with that. I'd probably still go Burks.
Nice. I like that. So that is a good look at today's slate. Anything else? Because I know the one game we didn't, 2 games we really didn't talk about. Actually, really one was Chicago, New York. I guess is there a reason why we're sort of semi-staying away from that? Because they probably have 2 of the higher price or some of the highest priced players on the slate in this game.
That's kind of what it boils down to. Like, Vucevic, DeRozan, Levine, when they're all together, are all kind of capped around 1.15 fantasy points per minute. And that's fine at the prices you're getting, but like Vooch got priced up because he went absolutely nuclear against Charlotte. He was flirting with 70 DK points. I really don't want to pay 9,300 for Nikola Vucevic on this slate. If I'm in that range, I'm just going to play DeJounte Murray. Randall's kind of like, he'd be the one guy from this game that's not named Derrick Rose or Alex Burks that I would be sort of interested in. But Chicago does a pretty strong defense. It's just not the best game environment on the slate. And with some of our other roster spots almost immediately being taken up, I just don't find myself falling on him all that often.
Love it. What about Ty Jones here for Keith?
Ty Jones. You mean Ty Jerome, maybe?
Maybe. I'm not sure. Let's go to another question while Keith that clarified.
Either Tyus Jones or Ty Jerome. Either one would be a solid play. I'm fine with either one of those guys.
Oh, I like it. Here we go. We got a lineup from Brian as well, and there's a either-or question with Rose and Mann, but CP3, Brooks, Crowder, Ayton, Simons, and DeJounte Murray, also known as Dijon Mustard.
I don't think there's a 3K forward that's popped up right yet. Like, we have some value guys, but I don't think flat minimum is in play. So it would have to be the other combo.
Nice. Rose, Burks, DeRozan stack. Not the game environment for that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be different. Like, if you're taking 3 pieces out of that game, those are probably the 3 pieces that I would want the most. But understand, if those guys don't hit, you're probably dead in the water because nobody's really playing those guys.
Nice. Oh, well, we like that. And we like that. We don't like chalk, so we do like that. That sounds good.
That trio is going to be like the Ricky Bobby trio, because if it doesn't work, you're gonna know fast, and you're going to be dead last in your contest.
Love it. Lastly, Triple J over Ayton.
It's fine. I don't think the ceilings are that different, and I think Jackson almost always has the lower floor.
Yeah.
So for me, I would just side with Ayton.
Nice. And yeah, he meant Tyus.
Okay. Yeah, Tyus Jones is completely fine.
Nice.
The
All right.
Grizzlies are still without Morant, so their situation really hasn't changed.
So only a 5-game slate tonight. We went over every bleeping game on the slate. We went over all the value plays, how we're being different, cash, GPP, all in 20 minutes. Adam, we did it all right here on the Win Daily Sports NBA Pre-Lock live stream. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Now go sign up at Win Daily Sports, windailysports.com. Sign up for a gold membership or check out all the membership options available. Check out which ones you want. I recommend getting the one with the optimizer. I think the optimizer is absolutely fantastic to use, but also the projection model, all the other tools at Win Daily Sports. So go to windailysports.com and sign up. Also, this is all sponsored by the Sharp app. Sharp.link is where you can go to check out all of the ways to download the Sharp app, Google Play Store, Apple App Store. So go check it out. Sharp.link is the link you can use. That is it for us. We'll be back with more basketball tomorrow. But coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to go over the showdown for tonight's Cowboys-Saints game right here at windailysports.com. That is it for us. We'll be back tomorrow with more NBA at windailysports.com.